the work evolve, which I may refer to later. We'll see. And she's on a wonderful, we could say, a roll now with the kinds of things that she's doing, which I know we're going to be talking about. And so, with just saying that, here is Jaanika Peerna, my daughter-in-law.
Kind of the thought I had walking into the gallery here was like, wow, it's amazing out there. And the weather and the movement of wind and light is so amazing, and that's all that just inspires all the work that's right here on the walls. And also the awe I have towards nature, that really is what moves the work around and moves the lines around. It's almost really hard to compete with it. Things out there are just so powerful, amazing, whether they're very stormy and wild as it happens at times, or they're so pleasant and soothing, and so it's just that sometimes you have to, I feel like I have to translate it into the art language for some people to recognize it, and those have been the most amazing moments, I think, when I realized that somebody has been looking at a work of mine and had a aha moment about nature, or a moment in nature, or a subtle change in nature. So that, I think this is the biggest compliment that could be.
I remember when I was studying art history, and we were learning about El Greco. Some of you may remember El Greco. He had these wonderful stormy skies. This one, it got to the point that whenever I looked up at the sky and it was changing, or the thunder was coming, or rains were coming, we began to call it an El Greco sky. The idea that the art had created a new way of our seeing, and if you have that effect on a viewer, it's a wonderful.
But it's the kind of change that doesn't shout at you. Right? It's there, and you can almost just sense it without looking at. And I'm very much interested in those moments when we realize that there's something happening, there's a change in light, in movement, in just a moment with you. Imogen, we were talking right here, we were looking at this artwork, and all of a sudden you just sense with the entire body things. And what happened in the room?
The light changed.
Just the sun went behind the cloud, and the change is like it just flows through the entire body. And I am interested in how we receive things, not just with mind and eyes, but I don't know how all senses summarized, I guess. That's so really powerful.
You've spoken to me. Did you want to say something?
Well, just your comment about when you call something, you say, well, that's an El Greco sky. I was telling Jaanika earlier, when I take my walks and I see these gnarled vines, I say, oh, that reminds me of Jaanika's drawings.
There you go.
And it is wonderful when an artist, I think, helps people make connections between art and nature.
But that is, I would think, something, the communication that any visual artist would hope to be able to.
Yes.
Often these works are driven by or drawn by very specific moments of what I've experienced. And this actually didn't start the series work, but there was a moment last spring. Everybody who's from this area probably remembers a really stormy day. Trees were falling, and houses got broken, and cars got crushed, and it was this very, very stormy. I don't know, was it April sometime? I was driving from New York to Connecticut that day, and just sitting in the car, driving on the highway, there was this moment when I wasn't sure whether the wheels of the car were touching the ground or not. There's this moment you feel like you're lifted up.
Scary.
And, I guess this is the one moment that I'm after. What happens at that moment when you don't quite know? And what would happen if the wind was just slightly stronger? I don't know the measurements, how scientists measure the speed of wind and the force of it, but it's something that was with me for a long time, and the series of air dance drawings that these are part of turned much. So these are very specific moments, and I can't even say that these works are abstract works, therefore. People often know they're abstract. There's nothing really abstract. They are
Abstracted from.
experiential to me. They start from a very specific experience. They turn into, they sort of mark down the experience, and then sometimes I work with dancers, as maybe some of you were here at the opening, when I'm asking the dancers to bring the movement out from the works back into the physical movement. So I think, different medias colliding and informing each other.
Right, and that's one of the things that I've seen grow in your work. That interrelating of different medias is one thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. Another different from the one here was also dancing to the music and to the art. Jaanika was actually creating a drawing right there in front of the audience. Like, I'm doing this motion because it comes to me. But that took guts, I thought. And at the same time that she was doing that on the floor, it was being projected on the wall so that people could watch the process of the drawing emerging.
And the drawing in that case was based on the very moment at hand at the gallery. It was really immediate. I was watching the dancer move, and I responded in my movement, as well as the sounds that were traveling within the space. So it was sort of very immediate.
Yeah. Which brings me to the question of you bring body into it all the time. And of course we're talking about movement in nature, but I'm thinking of just movement of the body. You are physically involved in the creation of your work. It seems to be that your whole body gets into it in a way. I mean, it's your arm doing the motion, but it seems to me that you are, and what I know of your interest in dance, it seems to me that you are in some way working out or playing out of...
Working out.
Well, you're working out, yeah.
I think it somewhat comes from the fact that my English wasn't so good when I moved to the country, and art became so important and so just essential to be engaged with, because this was the language that I felt I could communicate better and more exactly than in English and singing. I always felt I was lacking something. I couldn't quite reach what I wanted to do. And then when the first exhibits, when I had those, and I heard some people responding them and reading them much more, I don't know exactly, you can't say exactly, but I felt that there was understanding through line much more often than I could ever felt I was understood.
Well, that raises the question of the different media that you do work in. The idea that, do you see them as separate elements or separate disciplines, or do they interconnect? I'm talking now about video, some of the videos that she does, the photography and the drawing. They do interact thematically, I think. But do you find that one informs another? Do you find that you may change something because of some of the other medium? Do you find they overlap in ways that you learn from or use in some way?
I feel like it's like a really good conversation if it happens between people, but for me it's like very good conversation between video work or installation drawing. They inform each other, and in the best case they'll change each other to transform.
Jaanika, it's actually occurring on this wall earlier. I was showing someone. Yeah, once you explain what it is. It was coming off of the desk.
Exactly. There's the exact same material on the desk that caused this video to be born in my studio.
What material are you talking about
here? There is a clear plastic, right, in folder. And that's what happened in my studio. The light came in.
Oh, plastic covered.
Light came in from the window and hit the plastic cover, folder cover. And then from there it reflected, I guess in this case it's reflected to the wall right there. So there was a reflection of the light on the wall. And in this case it was if you take one still from here, just one still without the movement, this is what it looked like. It was just, like a shape of a dancer, kind of like just sticking up. And I was like, and I basically started looking for where does it come from? Where does this shape on my wall come from?
Were you photographing the shadows, or were you photographing the actual light on the wall?
Yes. So the white part here is the light. What I did later digitally was that I turned the white wall into black. You can see the light better. So it's much more fainter, but you can see the shape. of light on white wall.
Mhm.
And how I animated this is also pretty mechanical. I don't do anything very high tech. It's pretty simple. I just started, while I was tracing where the light comes from, I was looking, when you start looking, where is the light? Where does it happen? And then I ended up at the folder, put my hand on the folder, and as I put the hand onto the folder, the shape moved and transformed into new.
Oh.
So, and then by dancing or moving the folder around, this shape started taking all these different.
So then you need another cameraman if you're making the shapes happen.
I put up one of these tripods,
Oh.
and quickly, filmed the whole thing. It was gone in 12 minutes. It was gone.
Yeah.
So I managed to get about
Incredible.
2 or 3 minutes that was good, and then the light was, it can't quite recreate anything like that. So I like, it's again, another thing, it's a moment that happens, and if you're open to it, it's there, and you can maybe keep it and share it. In most cases, it's just there, and you try to enjoy it while it happens.
Then you have to have the eyes to see it. And
It was
somehow.
so amazing, I think. I hope see such things.
And did some of these drawings, I was noticing the actual quality, especially when you get that different, in the Mylar drawings, level of blackness, looks like that video. The actual lines on the Mylar, especially when you have those beautiful little smudges in them, completely feel
That's interesting.
like those, like the actual light. Amazing.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
There's the
That was there.
interconnection. Yeah, of
Yeah.
different media.
It's so
Yeah.
amazing.
Right.
And I guess there's another case, there's the whole other side of this work. It looks maybe kind of manageable and somewhat pretty, and it's all there, but I feel like more and more I'm kind of inspired by this movement of air that's pretty alarming in some ways. Call it global warming or whatever, but it's definitely there, and it's very, it moves me. I don't know what to do with it, but I almost physically sense that the winds on the earth are just speeding up, and at some point they will be so fast that all the structures that we think are so steady and even made and short, they might be just wiped off in one moment. But it's just my other side of what
We don't feel that when we look at
what
the
brings the sublime. It will,
Right.
we'll see. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's somewhere there.
So does
That way, materials guide the process a lot, the content and the chances. I'm very open to chance. What could chance tell us what the next step is, or how could I combine it with intention?
that's good.
I think the freedom and the control, the chance and the intention, if those work in perfect harmony, that's the best moment, I think.
Complement.
Yes.
Compliment, because if you can work like nature, just really take it in how it works, learn something from it, and be it. That's, it does happen sometimes. I'm glad if it's out on the paper
Yeah.
there.
Okay. I had the pleasure of seeing the Charles Birchfield exhibit. It took me a long time to get there because today's the last day. I was there yesterday, and those of you who've seen it will know that he was steeped in nature himself, and steeped in an examination of what goes on in the grass and what goes on in the tree roots and everything. And there was I was writing down little quotations from his journal, which he kept ever since the age of 16 till his death, so that he had reams of journals which are apparently going to be saved and exhibited at some point and made available. But there was one that I thought somehow applied to Jaanika, and it's from 1922, his journal entry, probably what he was searching for himself, with a very different artistic style, you have to understand, but still the same passion for nature. To have the courage to see and feel nature with the great graphic shorthand of youth. She has the great graphic shorthand. And may it go on into endless age.
Thank you, God.